Welcome back to another session on our AWS. In fact, this is going to be the final session in this AWS bootcamp. So let's wait for a couple of minutes for others to join, and after that, we'll continue. All right. So in this session, I'll quickly cover one of the main AWS service, that is SQS, and after covering that, let's see what are the different types of AWS exams and how can we clear that. So when you talk about SQS, you have to imagine the word decoupling. So what do I mean by decoupling? So imagine you are ordering something in Amazon website, and there is a place where we'll be ordering, and then our request will be sent to the backend, and they will be reducing a count in the inventory. So suppose if you are buying any grocery products, and they'll be having, suppose they have 10 soaps, and you buy one of the soaps, they have to reduce that inventory count to 9 right now. So those kind of activities will be happening in the back end, and after that they'll have to send a confirmation mail to you that your order is successful, and finally they'll display in your UI that the order has been placed, something like that, right? So these are the activities that will be happening at the back end. So imagine you're placing an order, and all this backend activities is happening, and only then you're displayed that the order is successful. So these kind of activities takes quite amount of time, and you don't want the user to wait for this amount of time, right? So that is going to be giving a very bad experience. So in order to do that, what we can do is we can use this SQS. So SQS is a service where it will be allowing us to put a message into this service. So it is it's kind of a queue, right? So there will be a queue, and you can add n number of messages, and we'll be having any background processor. Let it be a .NET background processor, or it can be a Lambda or whatever. So this background service will keep reading the message from the queue, and it will process. So the difference is, without this decoupling mechanism, the API needs to return the response back only after removing the inventory and sending a confirmation email, and only then it will display in the UI that the order is successfully placed. So we don't want the user to wait until then. So we'll directly display a message that order is placed, and in the background we'll just put a message into this queue. So we'll just put a message into this queue and we'll display to the user that the order is placed successfully, so that the user can do any other shopping that they want, or they can just quit the application and go. So they don't want to wait if the inventory count is reduced or not. So it doesn't bother their needs, right? So this is a need for an SQS. So if the question is asked, why do we need to use SQS? A simple solution is decoupling. There are other use cases also. So since you are new to AWS, so this particular thing is a main thing. So you don't have to remember any other things. So we'll just quickly see a quick demo on how to use this SQS. I'll just sign in into my AWS console quickly. All right, so I have signed in into my AWS account. So here you just have to type SQS, and this particular service will be open. The full form of SQS is simple queue service. So as the name suggests, it will be a queue management service, and we'll go inside this, and you should be able to see queues here. So click on create queue, and there are two types of queue you can see here. So this is a standard queue, and this is a first in and first out delivery kind of a queue. So in this kind of thing you can use when there is a need where the first message which comes should be processed. So if the first one is not processed, until the next one is will not be processed. So that's a thing available in this FIFO kind of a queue. So basically we'll just, since for the demo purpose we'll just use this standard queue. And then so here we have to type a queue name. So let's keep it as order. I'll keep this name as order, and you can see a visibility timeout, right? So basically what this visibility timeout does is we receive a message we put a message into the queue, right? After this message is put into the queue, any one of the background service or lambda is going to fetch the message from this queue. So once it is fetched from that, what this queue does is it will wait for 30 seconds for the background service to delete this particular message. If it is not deleted, it will consider that this message is not yet processed, and it will put the message back into the queue again, right? So I hope this particular thing is clear for you. And then this is a retention period, so how much time this message has to be retained. And this is a delivery delay, and this is a size. So maximum size is 256 KB, and receive wait time. So all these things, as the name suggests, it does exactly the same. And we'll just come to the below and just create a queue. So once this is done, let's see how to trigger a lambda using this queue. So there is an option called as lambda trigger, right? So we'll create a trigger, and I'll try, let's create a lambda function parallelly. Then let's create a lambda SQS trigger. We'll create a Python lambda function. We'll create a new role, and then let's click on create function. All right, so in our previous session the UI was not like this. So the AWS has updated their UI. If we want, we can switch back to the older editor. So this is the first time I'm seeing this UI. Let's just continue with that, because on a longer run they are eventually going to switch back to this particular UI. It looks something similar to a VS Code, so this is quite nice to see here. So let's keep it as such, and let's print this event alone. And let's deploy it. Right, now let's go to monitor, view CloudWatch logs. So there is no logs yet, since we did not run this lambda, so there is no logs yet. Let's quickly put some temp parameter and just test it out and see. This UI looks exactly like VS Code. So let's go here and let's see if the message has been put here. Yeah, if we see here, whatever input that we pass has been passed here. So let's run let's create a trigger for this lambda, and let's see what are the messages that we receive. I'll go back to the queue. I'll click on orders. Let's click on this lambda configuration and let's select the SQS trigger. So we need to add a lambda permission. Let's go from here and activate trigger. Alright, so okay, we need to have a SQS permission. Then what we'll do is quickly go to this configuration. Let's go to permissions and add SQS permission to this lambda role. Add permission, attach policies, SQS full access, add permission. So once this is done, let's try the same thing again. Let's search SQS here. Queue name is orders, and the batch size means here is suppose if there are more than 10 messages in the queue, this particular one trigger itself will pull all the 10 messages, and we can in the code we can just process one by one messages, and we'll just leave everything else by default, and let's click on add. So now the trigger has been successfully created. Let's go back, click on orders, and if you see here, the trigger is being created. So we can create this either from here or from this lambda. So what we just gave is we gave this lambda role a permission to access the SQS queue. So now this is created. Let's go to send or receive messages, and let me just put a JSON file. It's not necessarily, it can be anything else. It cannot be just, it need not be just JSON message. Let me put this message is from SQS queue. Let's send this message, and now let's go to this CloudWatch role and let's find out if we get the trigger. Yeah, we got a trigger, and this is the exact JSON that we got. So from here, let's find out where is our message that we sent. So if in this JSON, if you can find out that inside this body we have this message is from SQS queue. So this is a message that we sent from this queue, right? So using this particular mechanism, we can just pull the message from the SQS, and we need not wait, let the user wait until the particular process is done. So this is exactly what I mean by decoupling. It is detaching the actual application from a background service. So I hope this particular thing is clear. So let me quickly put this filler screen and open my website. Just give me a minute. Alright, before closing, let me show you how to delete this SQS as well. Okay, I'll just click on here, delete, confirm, and then let's go to the Lambda as well. This is the SQS trigger. Let's click on actions, delete, and finally let's delete this CloudWatch logs as well. This is SQS trigger, delete log groups, and this kind of log rows will be created only each and every time you create a Lambda function, unless your Lambda is not being executed like continuously, you will not be charged much. If you are listening it very less, you will not at all be charged if you are a free trier. And just to be in a safer side, if you are not going to use AWS anymore, just click on all this Lambda function and delete everything. Like all the 10 services that we just covered, we'll just delete everything and just keep this AWS account fresh as possible. The reason is recently one of my friend faced billing which was about like 55,000, and what he did is he just abandoned the account and event, and he thought of creating a new account, and that new account did not allow was not able to was not accessible. The reason is this it told that the old account was not paid. So they are tracking using your IP. Like in your machine, if you are logging again, they have a record, and they are finding that you already had an account and you did not pay the bill yet. So the problem is hereafter that person will not be able to create AWS account in his mission, not just in his mission. You cannot use in his Wi-Fi itself. You need to log in his mobile Wi-Fi or something like that. Only then you can access. So that's the problem. So whatever that I covered, if you follow exactly, you will not be billed much, right? So for being in a safer side, whatever that we just created, just delete it. So you will not be charged further. With that said, let me quickly open my website. I'll quickly go through this slide once. So these are all the services that we covered, right? So we covered EC2, we covered RDS, we covered S3, we covered DynamoDB, we covered Lambda, SNS, SQS we just covered now. IAM is something that we covered initially. The CloudWatch is like whenever we run a Lambda, there was a CloudWatch logs group that was created. So CloudWatch is like a monitoring service. So whatever that is, whatever services that are available in the AWS, we can just see some metrics about it. So that's use of CloudWatch. And finally, Event Bridge. If you're wondering what is an Event Bridge, so using the Event Bridge only, we created a scheduler. So using a scheduler, you can create a trigger, like if you want to run a lambda every half an hour or every 1 hour, or weekly ones, monthly ones, all those kinds of configurations you'll be able to do in the Event Bridge. So that's what I thought of sharing. So let's quickly open my website. And yes, so now we are going to see how to clear a AWS certification, right? So basically there are more than three kind of AWS certification, to be precise. So I'm going to be telling you three. So let me quickly show you the screen, just a minute. Okay, I just googled it and I'll show you this image. So if you see here, these are all the types of AWS certification that is provided by AWS. So what I would suggest for you guys is, so there are three options for you. You can go with Cloud Practitioner, so which I'll talk about in a few minutes, and the other options are Developer Associate or SysOps Administrator or Solution Architect. So what I would say is, initial stages you can start preparing for Cloud Practitioner, but I would suggest not to take that exam. I want you to be prepared for this exam, and after you are prepared, just go with any one of these two. Either you go for Solution Architect or the Developer Associate, right? I feel that these two are much more valuable. So the Cloud Practitioner, you'll be able to understand the basics, but comparatively there is no um, much much of your advantage. So right, so the solution architect and the developer associate, so these two will be a major asset in your resume. So as you see here, they will suggest 6 months of experience in AWS for Cloud Practitioner and 1 year of experience in the associate, so which is not mandatory, right? So there are some people which I know who know nothing about AWS and they were still able to clear this exam. I'll tell you the exact techniques what you have to follow in order to clear this exam. So it doesn't mean that if you clear this exam you know AWS entirely. Until you work on AWS you will not be able to master it, right? So let me close this and go to my website. Yeah, so this is a blog which I wrote, and I'll give a link to this blog in the comments or the description. And if we see here, so these are all the things that we have to remember for writing this exam. So there will be 65 questions, and at least 45 of them of the questions you do give it as a right answers. And it is not only like multiple choice question, it can be multiple responses also. So it need not be only one right answer, it can be multiple right answers also for a question. And when I took this exam, the cost was $150, and recently also I checked it out. So in this link you'll be able to see it is still 150 USD. And the exam timing will be like 2 hours and 10 minutes. And if English is not your native language, you can apply for an additional 30 minutes. And these are all the languages that are available, like English, Japanese, Korean, and simplified Chinese. In these languages you can take this AWS exam. And these are all the different kinds of domain that is available for developer associate. So this whatever that I'm showing here is for developer associate, right? And how to register, all these things I have given it in this blog. And what I'm going to show here is, I'll be showing you how to clear this exam, right? So for this one I have a Excel sheet here. So in this Excel sheet, while I was preparing, these are exact things that I was following. So what did I do? So first thing is, I bought a Udemy course. So there is a course in Udemy. The author name is Stephen. So he will be covering each and every topics. So right, so I just bought his course and I followed each and every steps that each and every services that he covered. So I did not spend much time on reiterating whatever the service that I did earlier. Whatever that he's teaching, I'll learn it, and I know, since I was already 2 years experienced, I did not go back much. So you just read all these services, and once you're done, just don't feel overwhelmed. Like, don't go back and don't do don't revise all these things again and again. So what I would suggest is, there's a website called as Skillset Pro, right? So even if you are not much confident about all these services, don't worry much. Let's just purchase this Skillset Pro course. And so they are also giving 100% money back guarantee if we are not able to clear in the first attempt, right? So just buy this exam. There'll be 22 mock exams for you. So write this exam again and again. So there is another tab here. So these are the number of times I took this exam before writing the main exam. So totally 23 times I took an exam, and in the initial stages I was failing continuously. Like, even for 14 attempts there was a failure, and after 14 attempts I continuously passed for almost like 10 times, and only then I felt like, okay, this time I'm going to clear this exam, and I was confident that I was going to clear, and only then I took this exam. The good part is, in the Skillset Pro, if you answered anything wrong, you will be able to review those answers, and you will be able to understand what was the exact answer that we should have answered. And also, the reason why I'm asking you to take Skillset Pro is, there'll be 22 sets of questions, right? So once you are comfortable with reading the questions during the exam time, you will not be hesitant in reading and understanding the question. It will be like, you'll find certain keywords in the question and you directly write the answer. You'll be able to answer it directly. There will be a certain pattern in the questions that they give, and you need not spend time on understanding the question. You'll exactly know what they are trying to ask, and you will be able to save so much of time in your during your exam. So that's the main part as far as the AWS exam is concerned. So if you're planning to take this exam only by reading the tutorial, I guarantee you 99% of people are going to miserably fail. So in fact, the experienced persons are going to be failing. The reason is just simple. So even experienced person will be working only on specific services. So if we see here, there are so much of services here, right? So we may be getting a chance in our office, like, to work on any of the three services or four services, maximum 10 services. But in the developer associate covers these much of services, right? So we may not have experience in all the services. So since the pass percentage is 72%, the chances for you to fail is very high. So that's the reason I'm asking you to take the Skillset Pro test. And the exam, the questions from that website was quite useful. It was almost similar like the main exam. So with that said, I hope you guys understood the AWS exam that I just told, and I also feel that this particular bootcamp will help you to get started with AWS. And with the interview part, I just have one tip for you guys. So whenever you attend an interview, there is a difference. If you know the particular concept theoretically, when an interviewer asks you, they exactly know you whether you are answering by reading it or working it. So unless you practice these things again and again and again, you will not be able to project yourself as if you have worked on it, right? So try to work, or if you know any particular programming languages, try to interact with AWS using that programming language again and again. Try to do many projects, and if any questions is asked by your interviewer, just try to pull them back to your project. suppose if there is a question that you don't know, you can just start by answering like you don't know that particular question, but there is a scenario that is similar to this particular question, and you can start explaining about your projects. So you need to have so much of projects, like whatever question they ask, you just need to keep talking about your projects again and again. So this is going to be a very useful thing. Like, so when you speak itself, they'll know that you have worked on it, right? So that's what I thought of sharing with you guys, and I hope this particular bootcamp was helpful for you. And let me quickly check if there is any questions. Use me user has sent a question. Please reply, but he did not ask any question. He just sent me hello, and I replied hello. Uh, all right. If there is any question, I'll just wait for a minute. If not, let's end this bootcamp, and I'll see if we can join in another bootcamp any day shorter. So I don't see any reply. So thank you guys. So let's meet in another bootcamp in future, and take care. Bye.